So let's start our review by taking a look at our bureaucracy flashcards. We can look at the first flashcard, which really just asks us to identify and understand the different types of bureaucratic organizations that there are. At the highest level, you have cabinet departments. There are 15 cabinet departments, the most notable being Department of State and the Department of Treasury, Department of Justice, headed by the Attorney General, Department of Defense, used to be known as the Department of War. You have many other executive agencies. Sometimes people will call these independent executive agencies or just executive agencies. So these are, basically like the little brother, little sister of the cabinet departments. They're a little more specialized than a broader cabinet department. So an executive agency could be the FBI, which is kind of underneath the Department of Justice, for example, or the Environmental Protection Agency, the EPA. Those are more specialized government agencies. Then you have independent regulatory commissions. They're designed to be a little bit more, as the name implies, independent. Um, they have usually a board of commissioners who make decisions, and they're involved in regulating important aspects of, say, the economy. So the Securities and Exchange Commission would be one, or the Federal Reserve Board regulating banking, for example. And you have government corporations. These are basically uh, things that could exist in the private realm, the private sector, but they're owned by the government. So the Postal Service, which competes with other private businesses, or Amtrak, is also a government corporation. So the bureaucracy, again, 2.6, 2.8 million, depending on which numbers you're looking at, million employees from earlier videos that you guys were asked to watch. What is it that they do? How do each of the following play a role in carrying out their policy? So they enforce regulations. I mean, they write rules and regulations that have the force of law, and Congress delegates the authority to Congress, to a bureaucratic agency, to issue rules and regulate the environment or regulate transportation. Um, and they can punish people who don't comply. The bureaucracy also, they are kept in check by Congress. Talk about that a little bit later, but heads of bureaucratic agencies will testify before Congress to notify Congress of what's happening, answer questions about what they're doing. The bureaucracy is often talked about as a component of the Iron Triangle. So the Iron Triangle has a element of the bureaucracy, a government agency, as one component of the triangle. As another component of the triangle, it has parts of Congress or a congressional committee. And then as a third part of the triangle, they have interest groups, an interest group of some sort. And these three elements, these three entities, they connect to one another. So a bureaucratic agency will regulate an aspect of our economy, for example. So an agency could regulate banking or could regulate healthcare. Those lobbyists will lobby Congress to perhaps, and they could also fundraise for Congress, and they'll ask Congress to conduct oversight over the bureaucracy or fund the bureaucracy or instruct the bureaucracy what to do. So the Iron Triangle is a way of describing the fact that the bureaucratic agencies really act in sometimes coordination, or at least in a way that is dependent upon and impacts Congress as well as interest groups or other parts of the country. And an issue network is just a way of saying, a kind of a broader set of interest groups. It could be multiple interest groups, environmental interest groups, as well as individuals that would work to kind of lobby Congress or get the bureaucracy to do certain things. So these are some big, broad overviews of what the bureaucracy is, what some of the sorts of things that they do are, and how they are definitely connected to Congress as well as to people in the country at large, either through interest groups or individuals. Those are your first four flashcards.